Hello, welcome back to the channel of nonsense and my favourite car park in the UK here at Porsche GB in Reading. Well, last year I drove the Taycan Turbo S before I started doing videos and it blew me away. It handled brilliantly for any car, let alone an electric car. It had gut-punching acceleration and to be honest, it was just all round a bit of a game changer, except I didn't fit in the back of it, so I only gave it 1 star. It was a terrible pity. Anyway, there's the new estate version, the Taycan Cross Turismo. I'm going to take you along for a drive, give it a review, and see if Porsche saved it by giving it more rear headroom. I think they might have done. Let's get cracking. Okay, I'm going to get to the country roads in a bit now. I'm driving the Taycan Cross Turismo Turbo S, but I'm just going to re-familiarise myself with the thing we need to get out of the way. The fact that this is a gut-wrenchingly fast car with 760, I think, horsepower in launch control mode, 600 and something in normal mode. So yeah, I've got it in sport mode. I'm on a motorway slip road. Let's just do it. 30 miles an hour. Let's go. Me. That's 70. It's just unpleasant if you're not expecting it. It's hilarious and it is outrageous, and you don't need this much power ever, really. But if you've got passengers, in an electric car they just don't expect it because there's no engine building up, nothing like that. It's just instant. Holy mother of baby Jesus and that donkey. It's outrageously fast. Okay. I'm going to cut to where I do the walkie roundy bit. Not going to talk about the speed of this anymore. It's just very fast. I'm probably going to talk about the speed again, but I'll try not to. I want to talk about the more, I don't know, the more holistic things of this car, such as the ride and the handling and the looks and the practicality. So if you want someone that just says, oh, it's fast, this probably isn't going to be the review for you. Waffle, waffle, see you in a minute. Yes, this is the all-new Porsche Taycan Cross Turismo. It costs about £10,000 more than a regular Taycan because there's more of it. It's like a lifted estate version of the Taycan, kind of like Audi does with their all-roads. This is the range-topping Turbo S model. It costs £140,000. It'll do 0 to 60 in 2.7 seconds. It's got 751 horsepower in launch control mode and 1,050 newton meters of torque, and it's got dual motors, a 2-speed gearbox on the back axle for faster launches, yada, yada, yada. You can get cheaper ones, don't worry. There's a 4, there's a 4S, a Turbo, and then this Turbo S, and they will go slightly further than this top spec one on a charge. This will only do 240 miles, although it's more like 200 in the real world. It's got an 83.7 kilowatt hour battery. You can charge it at 270 kilowatts, which is ridiculously fast if you can find a charger that supports that, and that will let you charge it in 22.5 minutes. Now, was that enough numbers for you? Because I just wanted to get that all out of the way before we look at its beauty and the clever design features. As you'd expect, the Cross Turismo is a teeny tiny bit longer than the regular Taycan. I think it's 11 mil or something like that. It's just under 5 meters long, so it's quite a big car. Still quite a heavy car. It's increased in weight with 25 kilos over the regular Taycan, but it's still a 2.3 ton car there, so don't get your knickers in a twist about that 25 bags of sugar. 3-chamber air suspension with a 30 mil lift in raised mode. It's 20 mil in the other mode. Now, Porsche hasn't just gone to their computer and made it a bit taller in the air suspension software. They've changed the suspension mounting points. They've moved it by 20 mil, so there's been a geometry change, which does change the way this car drives and rides compared to the regular Taycan. We'll get onto that in a bit. 20-inch wheels, carbon ceramic brakes on this optioned one. Yeah, these wheels have been absolutely trashed by the good folks at Top Gear magazine, who drove this, I think, through a quarry, because it's got a gravel mode, which retunes the ABS stability control and all that kind of jazz, so you can drift it and skid it and do mud plugging stuff in an electric Porsche. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Here at the back, the Taycan Cross Turismo steals some design cues from its Panamera Sport Turismo brother. So you've got this light bar across there. This colour, I think, is called Neptune Blue. It's lovely. It's kind of a flat blue that changes depending on the light. It's very cool. German press car, so you can go through speed cameras. That's fine. That's all good. Little button to open the boot, which is 39 litres bigger than It's 39 litres bigger than the boot on a regular Taycan, so it's 405 litres. So it's not outrageously big still, because obviously there's motors and batteries and stuff going on under there, but you get a much nicer, more useful boot aperture. When you put the back seats down, you get 1200 litres, which is 400 litres more than the regular Taycan. So this is much better as an electric van for helping your kids move house, back to university, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it is more practical, it is quite cool, but the real difference, the Cross Turismo, will come in the back seats, because there's more room for tall idiots on YouTube. Yeah, the people at Top Gear might have drifted it off-road, but did they do a practical backseat test with a tall, boring man? Well, no, well actually they might have done, I don't know, I didn't really watch the whole video. Anyway, you get 45mm more headroom, or 47 with the optional panoramic glass sunroof, and that makes a huge difference. The back for the regular Taycan, for me, felt so cramped and I just didn't like it. So yeah, knee room hasn't actually changed, yet that gives you so much more feeling of space in here. It suddenly becomes a family car, which is a really exciting thing if you want an electric family car, because you can now get a Taycan, the best of them. So yeah, still not a huge amount of room for your feet under the seats in front, but otherwise it's lovely in here, and that really helps having a glass roof. I know it's an option, blah blah, but it makes it feel a lot airier and a bit less like a German sex dungeon. You've got a little touchscreen back here with climate controls, heated seat stuff, all that jazz. I've got no middle seat in this one. You can spec it with a middle seat, but you can also just spec it with two cuddly bucket seats, which if you're driving like a knob, you probably want. So yeah, really improved back here. So happy about that. Now can I have one? Thanks, please. The only slight fly in the ointment in terms of backseat practicality is this roofline, which is still quite low, so actually getting out, you need to duck a little bit if you're tall. Got double glazed windows though for noise insulation. How Rolls Royce. Up front, the Taycan Cross Turismo is just the same really as the regular Taycan, with a few little exceptions in the electronics, but still got this 2-screen infotainment system which you can control using a little trackpad down here. So there's lots of touching going on, but it's fine, it's easy to use. Beautiful digital dash here with buttons on the side for changing the suspension mode, ride height and all that kind of stuff. Now you can lift this car. As I said, you do that using that button here. You get a lovely thin steering wheel clad in race text, which is Porsche word for Alcantara. You don't get paddles because you don't really adjust the regenerative braking, because Porsche doesn't really believe in that. So yeah, no paddles, super thin, just drive mode selector down here, and that all shows up in there. You can customize these screens to show you all sorts of cool stuff, whether it's the torque split between the front and rear motors or anything else really. It's not really a torque split, is it? Because they're independent. But anyway, nerdy things, it is lovely up front. I do take slight issue with the fact it says Turbo S on the headrests. I'm sure that's probably a £10 million option. I don't know, it's just a bit like your car saying its own name over and over again, like it's DJ Khaled or something, so I'm told. Right, enough of me waffling about it, let's go and drive it and not talk about the speed. Right, we're on a country road now in the Taycan Cross Turismo Turbo S, and I'm in Sport Plus mode, and I've forgotten how special these feel. There's a combination of the dynamic dampers, those air springs, and the torque vectoring, which just mean you can take corners outrageous speeds, but it's not an aloof experience. That throttle, it's got that classic Porsche weight to it, which means that you can really accurately meter it out. And because it's electric, the throttle response is electric. It's instant. It's not like even the very best naturally aspirated petrol cars. There's a little bit of a disconnect, isn't there, while physics and explosions happen. In this, you can just, by millimeter, eke out how much acceleration you want. It is a brilliant thing. The steering, let's talk about that. Obviously, this is a heavy 2.3 ton car, but through the steering, it just doesn't really feel it. It feels direct, and you don't get much lean in the corners. That suspension suddenly turns from a wafty, comfy motorway thing to a perfectly level, flat precision weapon. I know I've just said weapon, which makes me a bit of a weapon, but it is. It's mind-blowing. I love the way you can drive this down a B road. You might, if you're of a certain age, have memories of wanting a Subaru Impreza STI or WRX or a Mitsubishi Evo because they were fast point-to-point cars, the way they could grip and go in all conditions on all roads. This is that turned up by 100, 200%. It is mental how this goes down the road and how it corners. I'm now in a town, which is typical, so I can't show you this. In Sport Plus mode, you do get a bit more of Porsche's fakey electric noise, but it's unobtrusive. It's fine, I don't mind it. Let's talk about the brakes around town. This has got optional carbon ceramics on it, and they're fine. The brake pedal feel is exactly what you want from a Porsche. Again, easy to measure, easy to meter out. You're not headbutting the windscreen like some sort of demented kangaroo on MDMA in a nightclub of mirrors. It's fine. It's just easy to drive and easy to go very quickly, and yet still engaging. Right, here's a junction, left-hand drive car. How many people am I going to kill? No deaths. Fantastic result. I just love how unassuming this is. You can leave it in Sport Plus mode and just poodle around, and you don't really have any idea of what's waiting when you flex your right foot a bit. But then you do, and the whole world goes mental. Sorry, I said I wasn't going to talk about the speed. The handling then is bloody good, and it makes me want to cry little tears of handling joy into my motoring journalist stolen bib of tear collection. I think what I'm really trying to say is this feels like the most organic electric car to drive. It doesn't feel artificial, despite the fact there's a whole bunch of electronic wizardry happening underneath you. It just feels like the best of Porsche, really, that we've come to expect. Oh no, there's a national speed limit. Let's try not to mention the speed or give any impression of the speed as I accelerate from 30 to 60. Nothing abnormal here. It's all Jesus Christ. Not going to tell you what number I just saw in head-up display there. Honestly, I think if you were going to have a crash in one of these, you would be going so fast, I'm not sure you would want to be alive. But yeah, it gives you so much confidence. So this is quite a bumpy road. You might see I'm getting jolted around, but the damping is still soft edged. I'm not really finding it unpleasant. Those brakes are mega. Everything about this is just, you get the sense that so many people, clever people at Porsche, have put a lot of effort into making sure this feels natural and that it rides well and that it corners so well, making the most of that torque vectoring. That's just full throttle mid-corner, and you feel it shift the power. It feels entertaining, like your best four-wheel drive cars do. You feel it sending power to the back. I've got a little display here showing if the power is going to the front or rear, and generally speaking it's going to the rear until you boot it, and then the fronts kick in a bit. Yeah, such an impressive car to drive. I knew this last year before I did video, and I always thought I'd struggle to find the words, and I'm struggling again. It's just a sensationally good thing, and the fact that it can do really comfortable and really sporty, and now we've got rear seat space and everything. I'm this close to calling it the best car you can buy. Anyway, save that for the outro, Tim. Let's go and do some motorway driving, because comprehensive review and all that. Right, we've seen how the Taycan Cross Turismo can demolish a B road. Now I'm on the motorway heading back, and it's so refined. It's really good. The suspension has just got this very relaxed feel to it. So you waft along and it's just really quite serene. Obviously there's no engine noise, there's not really much road noise, there's barely any wind noise. It feels like a sleek German bullet cutting through the air on its way to efficiency. So yeah, it's definitely a Jekyll and Hyde car. It can do all that sporty stuff, yet it can really kind of isolate you from the world around you in complete comfort, which is what you want from a family car, really. A practical car like this. Yeah, really impressed. Right, back to you, Tim, for an outro. Now, in conclusion, you might not be totally surprised to hear me say, I love this, and I think that Porsche has really ironed out all the practical niggles of the regular Taycan with the rear passenger space increase and a slightly bigger boot. Let's get the negatives out of the way, because there are some. It's expensive. This is the top spec one, £140,000, and this has got 36,000 euros of options on it because it's a German press car. And 200 miles of range in the real world isn't a huge amount. Obviously, if you get a cheaper, lower spec one, you actually can probably go further because you're not caning the batteries all the time. I like it. If you don't want the lifted one, then I reckon there's probably going to be a non-lifted one without the black bits and lower suspension coming in the future, but I'm not 100% on that. I just like the attention to detail on this car. It's the fact that you can get this off-road protection kit, which adds these black plastic bits down here, which really does keep all the crap off the bodywork. It's things like that that makes you think, well, Porsche really does think people are going to take these on dirt tracks and things like that. So if you live in the countryside, potholed roads like around here, you've now got a choice, and it's not an SUV, so I think we can all be thankful for that. Anyway, this is an amazing car. If you want an RS6, an E63 or something like that, look at one of these, maybe the turbo model, because you've got an electric choice now, and it drives better than all those cars, and it's just more interesting, and it's faster as well. It's an incredible thing. I'm just going to stop spouting hyperbole because you're probably bored of that. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. Hit my bell so you get notified when I drop more videos on the YouTubes, and I'll see you very soon. Thank you. Goodbye. Jesus Christ!